podcast. I am your host, Josh Kirby, and I'm so excited for the journey we are about to be on. Um, I'm someone that has been passionate about football since I was little. I mean, it's something that has been in my family for as long as I can remember. My grandfather was a huge football fan. My dad talks about how he was watching Joe Montana and the Niners dominate back in the day. And my dad, huge avid football fan. I mean, he got me into everything I'm into, and me and my brother, we, we grew up watching Ravens games every Sunday and just bleeding black and purple every chance we get. And I mean, even I remember back in when we drafted Joe Flacco. I mean, I was just a young kid just getting into it, and my dad bought me and him a jersey, Flacco jersey. It was nice. It's a very core, valuable memory because it felt like that really put me on the path that I have officially sat down to choose today. Something that has come. It's been a long time coming. I feel like everyone that knows me knows that I've been talking about this podcast for almost over 2 years now. For me, it feels like longer than that, but my brother quoted me and said it was about 2 years. So that's what I'm gonna stick to. But I'll be honest with you. One of the main reasons I'm doing this is for to show people that you can go do it. Just do it. Just life ain't easy. Things come your way, but if you're passionate about something, you don't have to just sit on the sidelines and watch. You can go be active. You can go participate. And that's what I'm doing. I have big opinions. I have things I want to say, and I want to put myself out there. And you either like me, you hate me, you can be indifferent. It doesn't matter. I will take the criticism and I will run with it because I want to be successful in what I do, but I also want to create engaging content. And truthfully, I want to inspire a lot of kids and a lot of young adults that are a lot like me. I mean, starting back I can tell you I'm a huge football fan, but I never played a snap. I mean, I played a lot of backyard football. I spent a lot of time as all-time QB. It was a lot of fun, but I never actually played a meaningful snap of football in my life. And a lot of that was my insecurities, me getting in my own way. And I feel like I'm not the only one that has fit that mold, being the shorter, overweight, nerdy kid, the guy that people were like, oh, he knows football, but he ain't real. He don't play. And it just, those type of things, it kind of gets in your own head. And I think getting in my own head was a huge thing when I was in high school, and it stopped me from achieving and doing the things I wanted to do. And then I set off into early adulthood. It's been a lot of ups and downs trying to find my path. But at the end of the day, it was always football. Before I even really settled in and decided to do all this, I mean, I was studying every day. I was in the fantasy football leagues. I'm talking sports with everyone I can. I mean, you ask anyone that comes into my job, I'm the football guy. I'll talk it. I'll make big hot takes. I've been laughed at more than once for my takes, but more than once my takes have been right and made people look like fools. And I love that. I love that with my knowledge, I can formulate a proper opinion and get people engaged, get people to argue back and forth, and being right at the end always feels good. Now, hey, I'm wrong. I will admit when I'm wrong, and trust me, I will be wrong at times. But that doesn't mean I can't own up to it. And it also doesn't mean I'm always going to be wrong, because I know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to make some hot takes, and I'm hoping some of them will cash in, so you guys will be like, man, this guy really knows what he's talking about. But that's about why I'm doing this, and more about me is, as you can see with that Lamar jersey back there, I'm a huge Ravens fan. I mean, born in Baltimore. I'm very proud of it. And that's one of the reasons this is the Fourth and Forever podcast. The four stands for a lot of different things. There's a lot of different meanings for it, but one of them is being from the 410. I want to represent it in the best light I can. But I know you all didn't come here just to hear about me. I know some of you I'm just a stranger through a screen, but eventually hopefully you really get to know me, get to know what I stand for, and through not only my football takes, but just my overall authenticness, hopefully you guys will be engaged, will be locked in, and we can go on this amazing journey together. But the amazing journey does start with me talking football. So let's get into what I'm going to be presenting to you guys today. first and foremost, I'm going to drop my predictions for the season based on the division breakdowns. Probably some other predictions thrown in depending on how I'm feeling and how the take's rolling. I'm going to run with that. And if anyone is interested, I will have a link in the Discord below, so you will be able to click on that, look at how I picked because I picked the whole, I picked every game. I went through the schedule, went through game by game. I have it all mapped out in a spreadsheet. I have the playoff brackets set. I have some other predictions. So if any of you are interested in more of seeing my takes and seeing how I came up with what I came up with, please do yourself a favor, go look at that. I'm going to talk about some recent news in the NFL. They got some, I would say, 2 specific stories that really hit home to me, which I think are going to be very important. And I think may not be as, one is going to be very impactful to the season. I think the other one is just more of a good feel-good story, and that's something I'm really excited to talk about. And honestly, I'm also going to drop some hot picks for the week. Every week, hopefully, I'll be able to come on here. I'm going to drop 5 games and pick the winners of those games, and we're going to add it up at the end of the year to see how well I did. Hopefully, my guesses turn out well. This will be one more of my hot takes come at. My upsets I got to pick. I'm going to be mostly betting on the spreads, seeing what will be the best there. I mean, I sports bet in my own right, so I think it's only appropriate that the picks that I might make on my own time, I can put out and maybe give some people some food for thought, because it's always nice to have. It's always, I think it's really good. And then last but not least, we are going to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Being a Ravens fan, it's probably a little bit of bias. A lot of you are going to say that. Maybe I'm a little delusional, but I'm pretty excited for this season. And I hope any Ravens fans watching this are just as excited as I am, because I mean, how can you not when you got Lamar Jackson as your quarterback and all these pieces we've signed and brought in? And I think, let me talk about the news first, because I will transition right into Mr. Kyle Hamilton. 4-year extension, over $100 million. That is just, to me, that was just perfect. We needed to do that. I knew we were going to do it. Everyone in the building knew we were going to do it. I think it's something that is going to be very impactful to the league overall. He's now the highest paid safety, and he's the highest paid non-quarterback the Ravens have ever paid. So we really have set the standard of how we feel he represents our organization, and I am very proud to have him part of our team. I mean, he's a 2-time All-Pro already, 2-time Pro Bowler. He's going to stack up a lot more stats. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a future Defensive Player of the Year in his stat line. I mean, he's got everything you want, and it really, I think that is, the signing of him represents so much of how the Ravens are. And I don't like to use this comparison, but you look at how the Cowboys constantly, they wait until they drag out. It's a fight. I mean, they still haven't signed Micah Parsons. And as I'm recording this video, it's Thursday the 28th, and they still haven't signed Micah Parsons. The season's next week. They got a week. They got to play Philly. What are they doing? But the Ravens, they do things, I think, the proper way. I think the Ravens are able to see that we had a talent that we don't want to mess with. We don't want him to think he's not wanted. The contract talks where we knew it was going to happen near the end of the season, and we basically didn't hear anything about it all off season. And then right before the season, after we made our cuts and we made the official active roster, the news came out. I think it's such a bright spot to start the season now. Now we don't really have to have anything. We don't have to bring up any other news about the Ravens. This is the last thing we talk about. We signed Kyle Hamilton. Now we're going to the season on a positive note, and I think that is going to really motivate this team a little more. I mean, we all knew he was going to get signed, but either way, it's just that motivation of knowing he's locked up, knowing he's guaranteed, knowing he's about ready to give his all week 1 is something that, like I said, the Cowboys aren't going to be able to say about Micah. I mean, even the Bengals took forever, and they only signed Hendrickson to a 1-year deal. So at the end of the day, I like seeing our organization do how they do. It's very impressive, and I'm very proud to say that I'm a Ravens fan, and it's based on just overall, just this example right here. Now, I'll talk more about them later, but let me talk about the other story that really, I think, hits home, because I'm sure we've all seen the viral video of Adam Thielen and his family. He was just traded back to the Vikings, where he was originally started his career. I think it's wonderful. He represents the city so well. He loved being there. I don't think this really has such an... I don't think it has a negative impact on the Panthers. I think it was a good move. I think they just drafted a rookie wide receiver. They got Leggett there. They have a nice running back. They're still trying to figure things out. So I think moving off of a veteran receiver that you really don't, I would say, need to pay for anymore is a very hopeful and useful thing. On the flip side, I don't think it improves the Vikings so much, but I think it definitely helps them early in the season. Jordan Addison is facing I think it's a 4-game suspension, so Justin Jefferson was dealing with some injuries. He seems like he'll be 100% for week 1, but either way, someone that's been banged up through the offseason with a quarterback that did not play last year at all. So now you're really like, you're more behind than you would like to be. They had, I think it was Rondale Moore, if I'm not mistaken. He went down with an injury. Their receiving core is taking some hits. So bringing up a guy that, honestly, in the last 2 years in Carolina weren't bad. I mean, he put together in 2 years 151 receptions, 1,629 yards, and 9 touchdowns. For a guy that is a veteran, I think it's a very good stat line for 2 years with a team that was one of the worst teams in football. He's going to have a really good impact in the locker room as a veteran presence. He's going to bring a lot of positive morale to the team. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be game changing. I don't think adding him helps you win any games. I don't see him putting out a 1,500-yard season. I don't see him getting over 10 touchdowns. I don't see all that, but I see his overall presence is going to help elevate. And sometimes you bring in guys for that. You want to make sure that guy comes in and he can really establish the locker room. It's kind of like at the end of LaShawn McCoy's career, the Buccaneers and the Chiefs both brought him in. He didn't have much of an impact on the team. He didn't play that much, but that presence of a veteran can really carry weight, because if they say something, if they're doing it, and the rookie's standing there not paying attention, they're gonna look lost. They're gonna have to get in line. You follow the leaders, you follow the vets, the people that you respect, and I think the Vikings did a smart thing bringing him back. Now, but yeah, those are the main 2 news for the week. There's other things going on, but honestly, with the season coming up, the main thing everyone's talking about is the roster cuts. I think it's very impressive seeing how things have mapped out. I mean, the Ravens have been able to really retain a lot of good talent, and especially through the cuts, I really like how the roster's set up, and I think there's a lot of teams that are very happy with how they set up this season. I know I'm talking about the Ravens a lot, and I'm going to call it bias, call it whatever you want. We're a pretty dang good team, and I'm excited for our season, and it's easy to talk about them. And I'm sure a lot of people across the media know that they are a favorite going into the season. But with that being said, that goes right into my divisional picks. So let's get that started. First and foremost, AFC North. I do have the Ravens going 13-4 this season. The Bengals going 10-7. The Steelers going 7-10, and the Browns going 2-15. The reason I've looked at the Ravens schedule with the breakdown, I think we have some early struggle games. I think we got to really pull out some tough victories. We might take some hard losses, but after the bye week, we have a really nice stretch. We have a very favorable second half of the schedule, and we can rack out some really good wins. And if that turns out the way we wanted to, we could really be looking at a very, very successful season. And in my opinion, we're going to beat the Bills week 1. And with that, we'll lock up the number 1 seed, which last time we had that did not go as well. But I think we're a more mature team. We're a more driven team. I think we might even be hungry. So I'm very happy with that. As for the Bengals at 10-7, I do have them making the playoffs. Have them barely edging out the Broncos. But we'll get to them later. But at the end of the day, it's rough to go against them. I don't know if I love their head coach. I do love Burrow. I think signing T and Jamar, you're going to have a very impactful, high-paced offense. I still don't love the defense. I don't think the defense has done anything to really improve. I think re-signing Hendrickson for 1 year, I think it solves him not being signed problem, but I don't think it makes him happy. I mean, he obviously wanted a long-term contract. I think more often than not, we're gonna not see him there next year. And then next, Steelers is 7-10. Like I said, I don't like almost anything they've done this offseason, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think the trading Minkah and bringing in Jalen Ramsey, I think that weakens the middle of your defense, because Minka's plays all over from the top to the middle to up in the box. That he can do it all. You're bringing in an aging corner who, in the last few years, has proven that he can't keep up with the fast guys. And when you're in a division with Jamar Chase, with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, like even Jerry Jeudy, like you need someone that can keep up with them. I think they have a good 1-2 corner with Jalen and Porter, but at the end of the day, that can only do so much. And we saw at the end of last season, the defense fell apart. And let's not hope for it, but if TJ Watt goes down, what are they going to do? I mean, he's their best defensive player, and we all know that. If he gets hurt, he goes down. How are they going to pull it out? And I'm not saying that I think he's going to get hurt, but I think with or without him, this season could get derailed fast. I don't like the signing of Aaron Rodgers. I think Rodgers is washed. And not in a washed way like other guys have. I think he still has a lot of talent. I think he still can sling it. I think he still can provide a lot to the team. But I think overall his days as leading teams to the playoffs is over. I mean, well, I've been off the Aaron Rodgers train his last year in Green Bay. We watched how that ended. Then we watched his season never start with the Jets. Then we watched the train wreck of last season. Now he's trying to do it again. I think he's upgraded the coach. He's upgraded culture. But at the same time, Steelers have been a culture about winning championships. But in the last handful of years, they don't have any championships to carry that with. They've been one and done in the playoffs, or they've been winning record and missed. It's a formula that some teams would be proud of, and I'm surprised that the Steelers are so proud of it at this moment. Like, do you guys really want to go 9-8, 10-7 with Aaron Rodgers, make the playoffs and lose in round one? Now, like I said, I don't think they'll do that. I think this will be Mike Tomlin's first losing season. I think we'll see how that goes. I'm worried about them. I don't like them trading George Pickens, but also, especially after bringing in DK for that big money. Now, I like DK. They did bring in Jonnu Smith and they have Pat Freiermuth. So they got I think they have an okay offense to put around Rodgers. But if that O-line doesn't hold up, if Rodgers gets hurt, I mean, yes, Tomlin's done more with less, but sometimes that's going to run out. I mean, we've seen in this league, if you don't have elite players, if you don't have an elite quarterback, things happen, things fall apart. And that helps me transition to the Browns, where that's a mess. I mean, luckily they traded Kenny Pickett, so they're not going into the season with 4 quarterbacks on the roster, which I thought was crazy. I mean, you're taking up basically a roster spot that you need because you're not a very deep team. I don't love the receiving core. I think David Njoku is a very talented tight end, but he's not going to carry this team. They have a young running back, and I'm always very iffy about young running backs not knowing how the offensive line is going to perform, because they could hit the ground running and they could be a stud week 1, or they could take them 4 or 5 weeks to get going. And this is a team that doesn't have 4 or 5 weeks to get going. This is a team that it plays the Bengals week 1, and I'm pretty sure plays the Ravens week 2. Like, that's 0-2. I don't care how you look at it. That's 0-2. I have them winning 2 games. Maybe that's a little disrespectful, and I'm sorry. But it's just, I don't see how you're going to pull out more than 2 wins with Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, and Shadir Sanders. I don't see that being a possibility. I don't care how great Myles Garrett is. I don't care how great that team is. I don't see that happening. Next, the AFC South. I would say this is going to be a tight division. I think near the middle of the season, with the Texans really separating themselves. I have the Texans going 12-5, the Titans coming in second at 8-9, the Jags coming in at 9-8 second, Titans at 8-9, and the Colts at 4-13. I like the Texans' schedule this season. I think it's a little more favorable than it has been in the past. I think they're a team that feels like they have a lot to prove. I mean, they went to back-to-back division titles, back-to-back playoff appearances. And I think they've been very overlooked. I think a lot of people count them out and write them off because they thought they had a down season last year. But the season I don't think produced like they thought they would. I think it's a team that's still trying to find what they are. I think they know what they want to be, but I think they haven't put all the pieces together. But they got a lot of good young talent. And I am a big believer in CJ Stroud, and I have no doubt that a 12-5 season is very reasonable. Now for the Jaguars at 9-8, they were the hardest team to judge, I think, going into this season. Because you see the talent of Trevor Lawrence, but it hasn't produced. I liked the drafting of Travis Hunter because of what he can provide, but I didn't like the drafting of Travis Hunter for them because I felt like there was other needs, and they felt like they were getting two needs by drafting one guy, but he hasn't performed as a wide receiver and a corner in a professional NFL game yet. So any of us speculating of how it's going to be doesn't matter. We will see him on the field. We can judge it with the eye test. Either he's going to pop off or it's not going to go well. But I will say, I love Brian Thomas Jr. I think he is a nice bright spot for the Jaguars. I think he is going to provide very good, very difficult matchups for corners in this league. I think it's going to be hard to plan for him. I think when we watched him last year, he really showed the skills he brings. And I mean, sure, I wasn't surprised. I drafted him in fantasy last year. He did me very well. I was not surprised. I love him. But I think a 9-8 season, I mean, I don't see them making the playoffs. I think 9-8 is lucky. I like Liam Cohen I think he was a good head coach hire. I think he brought the best out of Baker. We saw that in Tampa. So him being able to bring the best out of Trevor Lawrence, hopefully. Now, if this season derails and doesn't go well, I don't know what they're going to do. They already signed Lawrence. They already have a plan in place. We have to see where it goes from there. Titans, I like Cam Ward. I thought it was a good draft pick. I think they lack a lot of depth on the roster, but I think they're a team that can get hot late based on momentum of a young quarterback. Now, 8-9 might make them seem like they're going to be almost a fringe playoff team. I think they will be a team that win some close, dirty games, and I think it'll be good for them. I think it will test their resilience, and I think they have a chance to be a better team next year. But I think 8-9 would be really cool to see the number 1 pick Cam Ward come out and really prove a lot of people that, I mean, think about it. With Shadir Sanders going to Cleveland, no one's talking about Cam Ward. He's being so overlooked, but he's first one in the building, last one in the building. He's studying, he's holding meetings, he's doing all the intangibles of being a professional quarterback, and that is something that, to me, jumps out the screen. It's one of the reasons I liked the Commanders going to last season so much, because you saw the intangibles of Jaden Daniels going into the season, and it's like when you see that kind of stuff, you're like, man, that's a team, that's a quarterback that can produce, because they are going to motivate the people around them to perform better than they should. Because the Commanders were not, I would not say were a great team last year. I think they had a really good coaching staff, and I think they had an incredible young talent at quarterback that was able to make them a lot better than what they should have been. And then I think it's going to be very similar to the Titans. Now, I think they have a lot more holes in their roster, so I think it's going to be a lot harder for them to get over 500. But winning 8 games, they can hold their hat high. If they win 8 games this season and they know for a fact Cam Ward's their guy, that's not bad. And then the Colts 4-13. I mean, what are we going to say? Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson. They're probably going to end up trading Anthony Richardson. I'm really hoping before this podcast drops they don't, because that'd be some cool news to be able to drop. But I won't be surprised if it happens. I love Jonathan Taylor. I think he's a baller, but I don't love that offensive line overall. I think the defense is hit or miss depending on who they're playing. I don't love the receiving core. I used to be a huge Michael Pittman fan. I still think Pittman's really good, but I think he's proven that he would be better with a solid quarterback, and he hasn't really had that in his career. So, yeah, it's going to be a rough one. Next would be the AFC East. The Bills, Patriots, Jets, and the Miami Dolphins. And I do have it in that order. The Bills going 13-4, the Patriots going 11-6, Jets going 6-11, and Miami going 3-14. So start with the Bills. What can I say? They got Josh Allen. They got a reigning MVP. Now, even though in my personal opinion, I think Lamar should have won MVP last year, because Lamar was just a baller last year. But either way, Josh did earn his spot. I like this team. I think this team is believable. I think they're dominant. And if you look at their schedule, they got a relatively favorable schedule this season. I think they play a lot of teams that they should handedly beat. And honestly, I don't think there's much to talk about. I think so there's certain teams, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. It's not about what they do in the regular season. It's about what they do in the playoffs, the postseason. That is what really is going to define these teams this season. And I think with the Bills, no matter what they do, they're in the same boat as the Ravens, the same boat as the Chiefs. You get to the Super Bowl, or the season's a failure. Not every team. Now, I know every team's goal is to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, obviously, but realistically, a lot of teams have different goals. Like, I think the Titans' goal this year is to make sure they have their franchise quarterback. I think the Saints' goal this year is to try to build some sort of culture and hopefully draft the quarterback next year. I really think overall there's a lot of different goals based on where the teams are at, how your roster is built, if you got a first-year head coach or if you've got a head coach that's on the hot seat. Like, it's very different. I think Bills are more looking for playoffs. Now, with the Patriots, they're the team that I'm most excited for coming into this season because I think they got the coach in Mike Vrabel. I think future coach of the year this year. I think if he can pull the Patriots to this 11-6 record, I think he will easily win coach of the year. I think Josh McDaniels is a phenomenal coordinator. We've seen what he can do. Not a great head coach, but we've seen what he can do. And then I love Christian Gonzalez on that defense. I think they signed, Milton from the Eagles. He's going to tie up that front seven. That'd be nice. They got Stephon Diggs, which if he's healthy, he's Stephon Diggs. He's going to produce if healthy. They apparently all their rookies are looking really well in camp. I like Drake May coming out of the draft. Drake May is going to, I think, it sounds like he's doing pretty well in camp. I think he's going to perform very well this season. I think I think last year he had a lot of things going against him because there was too much unknown with the Patriots. I think you didn't know if Mayo was the right guy. I think you didn't know how these people were going to play. I think you didn't take any big swings on any free agents. So they were it was more of a team in limbo. I think this is not a team in limbo anymore. I think it's a team that knows what they want. I think they know who they are. And I think they can pull out 11 wins. I think a lot of people would be very impressed. And I think it would finally get the Patriots back on that winning path that they have not been on since Brady's exit. Then the Jets. I don't know. I think a lot of people don't have them even winning 6 games, which I can understand. But it's the New York Jets. They got Justin Fields. We've seen him win games. We've seen him lose games, but we've seen him win games. I think Aaron Glenn's a good defense coordinator. I think he'll tie up that defense, that defense should be at least a top 10 defense. With the players they have, it would blow my mind if they're not at least a top 10 defense. And I think having a top 10 defense helps get you some wins, especially if your offense can not turn the ball over. Now, Justin Fields, Ohio State. Garrett Wilson, Ohio State. They have a connection. They're going to have a connection this season. That's going to be a cool, fun matchup to see them playing together. It's going to be great. I have a good two-headed monster running back. I like Breece Hall. I like Braylon Allen. I could see them leaning more on Allen than Hall, but either way, I think they got 2 really good guys back there. I don't love this team. I think the reason I have them at 6-11 is because I think they're more focused on setting a culture than they are winning, and that's not a bad thing. I think you need a culture to win. And then a team that I think has a bad culture, it's the Miami Dolphins at 3-14. What can I say? I don't want to be a hater. And I really, really liked Mike McDonald when he was signed. I thought he was flashy and trendy and cool, and maybe that was me. I got caught up in the glitz and the glamour, that the real meat of the team, they were soft. We've heard reports coming out that they're a soft team. They don't like to be hit. They don't like to play football to the intensity that I think it takes to play. They have a quarterback that has only made it through a full season once. Tyreek Hill wasn't happy how last season ended, and I don't think anything's completely resolved there. Jalen Waddle has been a guy that's kind of disappeared a little bit in the last year or two. I think not completely his fault. I think it's just inconsistency overall as a team. It's put them in a bad light. I'm not sure how I feel about the running back room. I like a chain. They don't have Mostert anymore, so I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't really love anything about this team. It sucks. I used to like a lot of aspects of this team. I always thought they were more the Cowboys of the AFC. They win a lot of games, put up a lot of points, flame out in the playoffs. But I think that's run its course. I honestly think they're going to put out this horrid season. They're going to look a mess. And halfway through the season or by the end of the season, they're going to be moving on from their head coach. I think McDaniels is in way more trouble than I think he realizes. And if he don't do something to improve the culture of Miami, he's going to be out, and they're going to bring in someone that can. Next, let's look at the NFC North. So, I have the Green Bay Packers going 12-5, the Detroit Lions going 11-6, the Vikings at 7-10, and the Bears at 6-11. Yeah, I know. And I'm a Lions fan. Well, I'm a Ravens fan first, but I do like the Lions. I like Jared Goff. I've been a fan of him since he was drafted. I thought Dan Campbell was a great hire immediately. I drafted Jameson Williams in my fantasy draft. I got Gibbs in one of my leagues. Love Gibbs. Montgomery's great too. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, Laporta, this defense. I mean, I have Aiden Hutchinson probably winning Defensive Player of the Year, which he would have won last year if it wasn't for going down with an injury. We all saw that coming. He was unstoppable beginning of the season. I think he's to 100%. And if you watch him in interviews, he's focused. He's ready. This is going to be a great season for the Lions. But they're losing their offensive and their defensive coordinators. And that is something that you cannot overlook. Look what happened to the Eagles when they lost it. They had a very rough season losing both of them. And yeah, they still pulled out a lot of wins, but it wasn't pretty. And I think that's how it's going to be for the Lions early on. I think they're going to pull out some wins. It's not going to be pretty. They're going to have some losses that they shouldn't have. And eventually, it will lead to the Packers winning the division. Because I love Green Bay. I think they drafted well. I think they've retained well. Even though they let Jair walk, I think that doesn't hurt their defense. He wasn't playing much for them anyway. I mean, even though I'm thrilled we signed him. We signed him for cheap, but I'm thrilled we signed him. But I can see from their perspective, him not playing a full season, I don't even think he's played 12 games last season. Having someone like that is a lot more of a liability at the end of the day because it's holding up a roster spot. It's taking away the cap. So I like that. I like Jordan Love a lot. I think adding Golden to drafting him in the first round is really going to help them open up their offense. Because LaFleur wants to open up this offense. And you've seen Love can do it. I think the biggest scary part about Love is finding that balance of when to open it up and throw it deep and make those more risky throws. But also being able to bring it back in, reel it back in, do the dink and dunk when needed. And I think finding that balance is something they found at the end of last season. And I think it will carry into this season in a very impressive season. I mean, I dropped like I said, in my Discord, I've dropped the predictions. It's no surprise. I have the Packers going to the playoffs. And I have the Packers going to the Super Bowl. Maybe I'm a fool. Maybe I'm just still a little amazed with Jordan Love. I really liked Love when he came in. I thought he's got everything that I think a winning quarterback has. They've been in the playoffs the past 2 years. It's a team that is worth paying attention to because I think they're going to really make some waves this season, and people are going to underestimate them, and that is their mistake. And then, like I said about the Lions, we already went over them. The Vikings at 7-10. I love Kevin O'Connell as a head coach. He proved last season. Give me whoever. I still like Sam Darnold. I think he proved that in a good system he can perform, and I think he's gained a little bit of confidence, which is what he needed. But Kevin O'Connell can win games. Now, 7-10 more speaks to J.J. McCarthy not playing at all last year. Him getting hurt in the preseason and then not playing. So even though he's not a rookie, he's going to be playing like a rookie would play. And I think having their receiving core mostly diminished for at least the first 4 weeks of the season, because like I said, Jordan Addison being suspended, it's going to really, I think, put a toll on this team. But last year, in my opinion, the best defense coordinator in the league was Brian Flores. Someone who probably should have got head coaching offers. And if he did, I'm probably was wise enough not to take any old job, because I think he's got a bright future as a head coach once again when given another opportunity. But he was lights out last year. He made that defense. You could see the scheming, the threatening of it. It was to a very good level, and I think it's going to be something that we're going to see again. But I think it's going to be hard to shake off the cloud that sits over their head of them having a rookie quarterback. So I think the Vikings are going to be fine. I think 7-10 is fair, and then 6-11 for the Bears. I don't know what else. I don't know what more to say. It's not that I don't like the Bears. I like Ben Johnson. I don't know how I feel about Caleb. I don't think he was horrid last year. I don't think he's targeting bust territory, but I also feel like he's almost getting a reset. I mean, there's reports that he was going through film by himself as a rookie, going through film by himself, not knowing what to look at, not knowing what to look for. I mean, we've seen videos in practice and in the preseason of him not making always the best decisions, and the ball's not getting where he wants it to go. And it's not that he doesn't have the arm talent to do it, but not having the overall knowledge of how to do it. I think that's going to be more of a flaw than anything. So I think a 6-11 is not upsetting. I think Bears fans should not be upset at 6-11, because if you put out a 6-11 season, but you are guaranteed that Caleb Williams is your guy and Ben Johnson is your head coach for the future, that's going to do wonders for this team. I think that can propel them really well for the future. It's really hard to take a risk on a rookie head coach, and it's really hard to put any stock into Caleb when I just don't think he's proven what he was supposed to prove as a number 1 pick. So, hey, Bears fans ain't gonna like it. I'm sorry, but I gotta be honest. Next, let's do the NFC South. I have the Bucs going 12-5. I like the Bucs going into this season a lot, actually. I got Atlanta at 6-11. I got the Panthers at 8-9, and I got the Saints at 0-17. yeah, okay. So start with the Bucs. I love the Bucs going into this season. I think they've got a proven head coach. I think Baker has a fire under him like no other. Their schedule is very favorable. I think they have the best odds to win their division. They've done it 2 years, I think 3 years in a row. Because I want to say 3 years in a row, but definitely the last 2 years with Baker. It's a team that just I love the drafting of Emeka. He's going to improve that receiving core. I think with McMillan being hurt, Godwin coming off injuries, I think you got probably the future offensive rookie of the year. Another take I'm definitely solid on. I mean, I've drafted in both my fantasy leagues so far. And if things work out, I'm going to draft him in every other one of my fantasy leagues. Very excited for that. I think it's a team that I'm a little more worried about long term. I think their defense is aging. I don't think they're getting any younger. I don't think this team's going to get any cheaper. But I think this season, it's very favorable for them to put themselves in a better position going into the playoffs. Something that I don't think they've been in, always the best positions. I think going into the 4th seed, you're generally facing, the best wildcard team. And for the last few years, the best wildcard team has been very good, proven teams. But, hey, we'll see what happens. Now to the Panthers. I don't know. I put them at 8-9, but because I think they showed a lot of promise last year. I think Bryce Young showed a lot of promise last year. I like Chuba Hubbard as their running back. I think they got 2 good receivers. I just don't know. I just don't know about them. I think they're 8-9, but I mean, they could win 6 games. They could win maybe 10 games. I don't know. I don't know what this team is going to put out. And I think that is something I'm excited to see. Because I think it's going to be very exciting to see if they can put it all together finally. Because I think they've been really struggling the last few years to figure out who they are. And I think near the end of last season, they figured out, okay, we're going to run it heavy and pound it with Chuba. And we're going to let Bryce be more comfortable and more confident in his throws. And I think that's going to really elevate this team. But at the same time, I don't think the roster is very deep. I have a little bit of concerns about that. I think not having a deep roster right now in the NFL is very difficult because injuries happen every day. I mean, if Chuba goes down, yeah, they got Rico Dowdle as the backup running back, but I don't love that. I don't lose one of the receivers. They're not deep there. I don't think their defense is too noteworthy. I mean, they traded Brian Burns a couple years ago, and I think their defense has never been the same since. Atlanta at 6-11. I don't know what Penix is. I like London. I like Bajan. I like Kyle Pitts. But I don't know what Penix is. I don't know if Penix is that guy or not. And I definitely don't. But I do think it helps having Kirk Cousins backing him up and teaching him things of how to be a starter. I mean, that's going to be very helpful long term. Excuse me. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Because Kirk's going to get traded probably. I wouldn't be surprised if quarterback goes down and we see a trade with Kirk Cousins early in the season. So he won't have that mentor there, which is okay. I think he'll be fine. I think at 6-11, if Penix is your guy, 6-11 isn't bad. If Penix is not your guy, 6-11 is rough because you're probably going to be picking more around pick 10 than in the top 5, which you're probably going to need to select the quarterback this year because a lot of these teams finishing late, finishing a lot of losses, might go get a quarterback. I mean, Cleveland might be in a quarterback market again. And the next team, the 0-17 Saints. Yeah, I know I'm going to get some backlash from this from Saints fans, but don't be mad. If you're 0-17, you get the first round pick and you get your choice of the quarterbacks coming out. So be happy because I just do not see how you're going to win with an aging Kamara, with Tyler Shuck, or, well, you just named Spencer Rattler as your starting quarterback, which I don't know about that one. Tyrann Mathieu retired. Clearly, he wanted no part of this season. Chris Olave can't stay healthy. Your cap is crazy bad. I mean, you can't afford to pay players. You can't afford to release players. You can't afford to do anything. And in a team that desperately needs a glimmer of hope, you can't provide anything for them. And I hate to say that. I hate to be a Debbie Downer on the Saints, but if anyone has the Saints winning more than 2 games, I'd be shocked. I am not winning any because I just think I think they know what they are. I think they know they're bad. I think they have no depth. I think, Cam Jordan's probably the best player they got, and he's aging too. It's hard to, when your best players are aging and you have your young draft picks haven't hit or aren't working out, and then now you're just in limbo. And that is, I think, the worst place to be in the NFL. Unless you go 0-17 and you get the first round pick. So it can be a bright side. So look for that. Then we're going to go to the NFC East. I like the NFC East. I got the Philadelphia Eagles at 14-3, the Washington Commanders at 12-5, the Giants at 7-10, and I got the Cowboys at 7-10. So, yeah, Philly reigning Super Bowl champions. I know, Super Bowl hangover, this, that, and the other. I don't care. They got Saquon. They got Jalen Hurts, and no matter what anyone says, he won that Super Bowl. His 2 best games I've ever seen him play are both in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback. I am firm on that. I will not give up on that take. And anyone that tries to debate me on it and try to put Jaden above him, I'm saying, nope. Jaden's a rookie. He did great. Jalen Hurts has 2 Super Bowl appearances with a Super Bowl, and his best 2 games were in the Super Bowl. Both of them. So, come on. They've lost a lot of players on defense, but they drafted 2 rookies that hit on defense. Both their corners hit. They got 2 stud corners, so you're not worried about that. They got a lot of young guys on that defensive line that are only going to get better. They still got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Oh, come on. They got 2 number 1s. I don't care what anyone says, that's 2 number 1 receivers. And then I'll say it again. You got Saquon Barkley, especially behind that talented offensive line. No. They should easily win, I think, 14 games. They take the number 1 seed. I no doubt in my mind. And then let's go to the Commanders, 12-5. I like the Commanders. I like the Commanders a lot. I think they're a team that's gonna really do some great things this season. I think they now I have a hot take about Week 1, so we'll get to that later. But overall, I think they're a team that has a lot of promise. They have Dan Quinn's going to get that defense better throughout the season. That's just what he does. I got Cliff Kingsbury, which I loved the hire last year, and I think he's going to just keep helping Jaden perform better. I love Jaden Daniels. They re-signed Terry. Great move. 12-5. I can't talk enough about how great this season will be for them, and the Commanders fans should be so proud. I can relate to them so much, not just that them being so close in that DMV area, but when we drafted Lamar and we saw what Lamar did for us, it gave us that same hope and probably almost re-love for the game that I think Jaden is giving Commander fans, and it's awesome. It's great to see. Giants at 7-10. I think they hit on Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart. He's not going to play early, but I think he'll play late. That defensive line should be a top 5, top 3 defensive line in the league. I like Malik Neighbors. I think Brian Dable was coaching for his job, and we saw what he could do with Daniel Jones. Last few years didn't work out, but we saw he took Daniel Jones to the playoffs. I'm not saying he's taking this team to the playoffs, but if this team puts on a 7-10 season and they perform at that level, that's impressive. Everyone will be impressed if they win 7 games, and I think it will keep Brian Dable at least another year in his job, so he can then run a full season back next year with Jackson Dart. That's enough on them. Cowboys. Man, oh man, oh man. Dallas Cowboys. Man, I don't like the Cowboys. Maybe there's a bias there. No reason. I like Dak. I think Dak is the best above average quarterback there is probably. I mean, he's not elite, but he's going to win you games. He's going to put up numbers. George Pickens was a 50-50 signing, in my opinion. I think he has all the talent in the world. Is he going to get his own way? We don't know. I love CeeDee Lamb, but you saw with all that pressure being put on him last year, his body couldn't hold up, and that is scary. I still don't think they solved their running back problem, bringing on running backs that other teams didn't want and then drafting one. I mean, you're trying to figure it out. Congrats. Your line's aging. You had an offensive lineman retire, and you still haven't signed Michael Parsons. Your defense was terrible last year, and that was with Micah. Now, they had some good games, but overall your defense was not good. Now you haven't signed Micah. Micah's not going to be 100% ready because he's not practicing at his full caliber because he hasn't got his contract. And even if you sign him the day of that Thursday night game, you're not getting someone that can go out there and play 3 downs every single snap. It's just not going to happen. He's not going to be conditioned well enough, no matter how hard he trains. It's just he's not getting that contact he's going to need. It's going to be a rough season for them. Like I said, the Giants should be hopeful at 7-10. Cowboys should be more than disappointed at 7-10. If they only win 7-10 games this season, they should be disappointed. Even though I think it's very likely and obvious, they should be disappointed because they should expect better from themselves. And before I go to the NFC West, I do want to say I know I skipped over the AFC West, but that's more so strategic based on how I have that division. So we're going to go back to that right after I talk about the NFC West. I have Seattle winning at 10-7, Rams going 9-8, Niners going 8-9, and Arizona going 6-11. Seahawks, second year with Mike McDonald. I liked him. I mean, he was our DC. I know what he can do with a defense. I think the defense is going to perform at a high level. I think Sam Darnold is a competent starter. I don't love the O-line, but I think they've done enough to improve it where I think it will at least keep Sam upright. I like the 2-headed combo at running back. Kenneth Walker may not make it through a whole season healthy, but Charbonnet is a great backup, and he's probably one of, I would say, at least a top 5 backup running back in the league, and he's going to play very well. I like the receiving. I don't love the receiving core. I think Kupp could be a reach, but it could be a helpful set of reliable hands. But I think it'll be very helpful for getting Jackson Smith and Jigba more throughout the season, and I help him reach his fullest heights. I think he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. But I'm not as high on the Seahawks as I am down on the other teams in this division, such as the Rams. Stafford hasn't been healthy all year. I have a very dominant young defense that is going to help carry them in a season I think is going to be a very struggle. A lot of people are speculating that they just didn't want Stafford competing in the offseason like that with a slightly tweaked back, but I don't care. He was dealing with issues last season. He's dealing with health issues this season. I don't like that a quarterback being over the age of 35 dealing with back issues or neck issues or whatever he's been dealing with the last 2 years. I don't like that. It's scary. It's hard to put all my chips in. Now, I will say if Stafford's healthy, if Stafford's 100%, if Stafford plays 15 or more games, they could win 10, 11 games. But I don't know if Stafford's going to play early and often. And I think often is the key word. So I think 9 and 8 is very reasonable, especially if you're putting Jimmy Garoppolo out there week 1, 2, 3, week 4. Good luck. And then Niners, 8 and 9. I think the Niners are going to be a very, very, very talented 8 and 9 team. I like Brock Purdy. I think he's a good quarterback. I think last year when a lot of things hit him, injuries happening on the team, things being up in the air, I think he responded very well, but you can also tell he needs his guys. Kittle's not getting any younger. Fred Warner's not getting any younger. You can bet on McCaffrey making it through 17 games, but as we saw last season, that's not the best bet. They don't have Debo anymore. They got Ayuk coming off an injury, so you got an aging left tackle. He's still best at left tackle in the league, but he's aging. This team is getting older in the wrong spots. They brought in a lot of young players. And even recently, Kyle Shanahan was talking about how they know they got a lot of young guys that they need to get up to form. And I think he knows this can be a rough season. I think 8 and 9 is a very, very good stat line for a team that has already been dealing with injuries in the offseason, dealt with injuries last season, and they lost some key guys through free agency. I think at 8 and 9, they should be happy. And I think it gives them more hope maybe for the next season that they were able to hold on and win 8 games, even though everything may not be perfect. And then the Cardinals are 6 and 11. I think they're a team that I don't know what to make of them. I'm never do. Every year I'm wrong about the Cardinals. They start off and they're kind of flashy. They're kind of cool. They're fun. Kyler running all around, making insane throws. And you're like, man, this team's got something. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., he should pop off. He should be a baller. James Conner's been a great running back for them. Jonathan Gannon came there to improve that defense. Hopefully that improves. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I literally, they're my... I've had some hard takes to make. That's my hardest. Making them at 6-11 is my hardest take because I don't know what this team is going to produce. I think I would be more confident if I thought the quarterback was more committed, but I don't think that's Kyler's. But I don't want to put it all on Kyler because we've seen what he can do. We've seen how talented he is. I just think this is just a team that's just not destined for greatness. But if they end up winning the division, I wouldn't even be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if any of these teams winning the division at this point, to be honest with you. I have Seahawks winning because I trust where their team is at the moment based on health, based on coaching, based on a lot of things. I trust them a little more than the other 3 teams, but I think any of these 3 teams could go any type of way. And then now, back to the AFC West. I'm going to get a lot of hate for these takes. Or at least 2 of them. Maybe. We'll see. I got the Chargers and the Chiefs both going 12 and 5. The Broncos going 10 and 7, and the Raiders going 8 and 9. This division was, in my opinion, might be the toughest division in football this year. You have 4 extremely high-level head coaches. I mean, potentially 4 Hall of Fame coaches. We know Andy Reid's going in. I would bet money Sean Payton's going in. Probably Pete Carroll's going in. And Jim Harbaugh, maybe. I mean, I would say he deserves it, but we'll see. But where it gets sticky, I got the Chargers and Chiefs both going 12 and 5, both winning 12 games. So, who wins the division? I have the Chargers winning the division this season. Even though Rashawn Slater going down is a huge deficit to that offense, I think it hurts them more than helps them. But at the end of the day, I think I've heard a few people say this. Harbaugh always jumps year 2. Year 2 is his year. And a division that can beat themselves up a little more this season than they have in the past, I think gives the Chargers a better path to the playoffs. and to winning the division. Now, KC's still going to be a great team, 12-5. I'm never counting out Mahomes and Andy Reid. And if they win the division and I'm wrong, I'm okay with that because they're just I'd rather look like a fool and vote against them and create and have a nice hot take that I believe in than I'm not going to have them miss in the playoffs. I'm not going to do that. Like I said, when it comes to certain teams, it's about what they do in the playoffs. It's not really about the regular season. For the Broncos, though, I could see them missing the playoffs at 10-7 just because it being such a tough AFC. And I don't think it's them. I think they're going to have a top 3 defense. I think Bo Nix is going to be very serviceable. I think the one thing you'll find out this season is the ceiling of Bo Nix. Can Bo Nix take over games and win games that need to be won? Or is his team mostly reliant on that defense to win them games, which I think in the AFC is more difficult because you have more elite quarterback play in the AFC. You got Joe Burrow. You got Lamar Jackson. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Josh Allen. You have 4 elite quarterbacks, and going up against them is just going to be it's going to be very, very difficult to pull out a playoff season when I just don't see all 4 of them missing the playoffs. Definitely don't see Burrow missing the playoffs again. I mean, if he does, we'll probably say goodbye to Zach Taylor, but I don't see it happening again. And the Raiders 8-9. I think they're going to be a really tough out. I like Geno, don't love Geno. I think Pete Carroll came in and he picked up a roster that's not great. I don't know. I think they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to be entertaining to watch. I will say, I think all season they will be fun to watch. And I think it'll be nice to see Pete Carroll coaching again. I think at the end of the day, they'll be happy with 8 wins. And they don't need to look at a quarterback for the future right now because I think they can be happy with Geno and they can build around Geno for another year. But I definitely think bringing in a young quarterback eventually to sit behind Geno might be very helpful for the long-term success of this team because I think we all know that's not the long-term answer. Now, some may disagree. Go ahead. Everyone has the right to opinion, but in my opinion, that's just not a good answer long-term. So, as I have it, those are how I got the divisions mapped out, and like I said, I think it's going to be the Ravens meeting the Packers in the playoffs. Like I said, if you want a little more details about how my game breakdown went and everything, go ahead and go to the Discord and link below, and then you can really, hey, give me all the crap you want in the Discord. I will take it. I know some of these takes are hot. I know I got some teams losing a lot of games. I got some teams sneaking out some great wins. I think the NFL has really proven the last few years there's a top and then there's a bottom. And I think the teams that are on top are going to stay on top consistently based on quarterbacks and coaching and organization. And there's teams that are going to sit and float at the bottom based on them missed drafts, bad hires, and overall just failure to run an organization. Now onto the picks. My hot takes going into, or not really a hot takes, but my picks going into the season, going into week 1. Every week I'm going to do this. I will say week 1, I'm going to hold steady to the picks that I've made the last week, that my predictions. So if I predicted a team going to win, I'm probably going to stick with that week 1. But I will say throughout the season, I am not going to be stubborn. I'm not going to be hard-headed. I am not afraid to pivot. If I have some team, let's say the Rams, losing later in the season, and like whatever, I don't know, just losing later in the season, but Stafford ends up being healthy and balling out this season, maybe I'll pick them to win instead of lose. It's just, I'm going to pivot if I have to pivot. I'm not afraid to pivot. But week 1, I'm not pivoting. Week 1, I think 5 picks that are they're going to go my way. First and foremost, let's start with opening week. It's week 1. I want to get in the action on Thursday. I want to be able to watch this game and have more on the line than just enjoyment. I would like to maybe either put some money on it if I end up betting it, but definitely put it out for the internet so people can judge me. But I think it's an easy answer. Eagles going to win. They're favored by a 6.5 spread. I think that's an easy. I would say if the spread was a little larger, maybe I would have the They would have the Cowboys cover the spread, but I could see them winning by 8 points. So Philly week 1. Next, I have the Niners traveling to Seattle. Niners are favored at a 2.5 spread. I think the points are too small to just have Seattle cover the spread, but I'm very heavy on Seattle winning this game. I think 49ers had a lot of things in the offseason where they're still figuring it out. And I think it being in Seattle, and Seattle, I think, having more of a cohesive offseason of things falling more into place, I think it leads up to a better week 1 matchup for them to be able to start a very nice season for them. My next game will be Titans at Denver. This is rough. Top 3 defensive line, or just overall top 3 defense last year, going up against a rookie quarterback. I don't care who the rookie quarterback is. That is terrible. That is a matchup you do not want your rookie to be stuck in. Cam Ward is going to be probably running for his life. He's going to be on his back. There's nothing I don't think there's anything that he can do week 1 that is going to turn me off of him. I just don't think. I think he's going to have a rough game, and I don't think it's his fault. Now, if he balls out and looks great, whether they win or lose, good on him. I think it's a tough first matchup. They're playing in Denver. It's a tough environment to play in. Plus, the spread's 7.5. I can't. There's no part of me that believes that Broncos team that we saw last year is not going to come in this season and be just as good, if not better, in most or every aspect, and then taking on a rookie quarterback with a team that is lacking in depth, like I talked about. I think that's cash money. If you like that, done. Broncos are winning that game, and I don't even think it's going to be close. Next is the Texans at the Rams. Now, we don't know Stafford's probably going to play. I feel like that's what's going to happen, but if they don't roll him out week 1, it's going to be Jimmy G and over. But they have I don't know. I was really high on the Rams last season, but I am higher on the Texans, and I've simmered on the Rams a little bit. I think this Rams were a really good team last season. I think they come in with a little more questions than answers this season. I think they will answer a lot of those questions, and I think either it's going to be a good or a bad thing for them. But Rams are favored at 2.5. I think it's a close spread. I think not only do I think Texans can easily cover that, I think they're going to win the game. I think Houston's going to win this game and start the season off very hot. Like I said, I think they're a hungry team. I think they want to prove that they're one of the elite teams, not only in the AFC, but in the overall the NFL. And I think this season will be when they really establish themselves of what they want to establish themselves as. So there's that. And then my last pick. This is my bold pick. This is the pick that has gotten my coworkers to question my knowledge. This is going to get a lot of people to hate me, and I wanted to say the picks after divisions because I want you to know that team that I have losing, I don't dislike. I just don't like the week 1 matchup, and that is going to be the Giants playing the Commanders. It's like I said, it's a 6-point spread. Commanders favored. I got the Giants winning. I know, crazy, but I mean, the first things first. I keep going back to it. I tell everyone the Saints started 2-0 last year, and they were a god awful team. So if they can start 2-0 last year, why can't the Giants win week 1? I mean, week 1 is so up in the air because there's going to be upsets. They always talk about it. The good teams are trying to figure out how to last all season and make the playoffs. The bad teams don't know they're bad yet. The Giants have a phenomenal defensive front. They should have a top 5 defensive line in the league, which I don't love their defensive back room, but overall, if your quarterback's running for their life, they're on their back, they're getting pressure the whole game, even with the skills of Jane Daniels, it's not an easy task. And Brian Dable's a heck of a coach. I think Russell Wilson can very much deliver. I don't think, like I said, I don't think he's the long-term answer there. I don't think he's going to play all season, but he can deliver. They got Scotabo to add a lot of hype to that, and a little bit of juice to that offense. Tyrone Tracy performed very well last year. You got Malik Neighbors balling out. I think this is a team that can shock people week 1 and pull off this upset. And it's not just because I love the Giants. I think the Commanders had a noisier offseason than they would like. They ended up moving off Brian Robinson. They ended up taking up until right before the season to sign Terry, and it was kind of mucky situation. I don't think they did enough to improve their defense. I think coaching will improve over the season, their defense, but I don't think I don't think week 1 is going to be the way to do it. But I think overall, I think if you want to take, that's the take. I think seeing the Giants pull out the win over the Commanders, it's my first big hot take, and I would love to see it pull off this season. Now, like I said, I still have the Commanders going 12-5. I think Commanders make the playoffs. I think Commanders are going to be a very exciting team this season. But like I said, upsets happen, and we are not going to overlook this Giants team. The Commanders might, but I'm not going to overlook them. I think they're going to be a very hard out, and I think they are going to play tough right out the jump. And hey, we're going to see it. So, like I said, my picks for the week: Eagles over the Cowboys, Seattle over the Niners, Denver over the Titans, Texans over the Rams, and Giants over the Commanders. Those are my picks for the week, and we'll try. Like I said, we'll track it every week and see where it goes from there. Now, before I close out episode 1, and hopefully you all had a great time listening to what I had to say, and if you're still here, you're still listening, now I get to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Man, I love this team this year. I absolutely, I trust me, I love this the last few years, but I love what we've done. I think re-signing Stanley is going to tie up that offensive line. I'm sure by the mid-season, end of the season, Linderbaum's going to be signed. We have a great O-line. We still got Derrick Henry, big, fast, tough. We got Keith Mitchell as his backup, very talented. We saw what Justice Hill can do last year in the pass game, coming out the backfield, amazing. We have a great tight end in Mark Andrews, and when Likely comes back from this minor injury, he's going to be a baller. We got Bateman and Flowers learning from D-Hop. I love that signing, more so for that veteran presence. Like I talked about with Thielen, having a veteran presence in the locker room is just going to help. It always helps the overall morale of the locker room. I love that. I love our defense. I think we drafted Malachi Starks and Mike Green perfectly. I think they both are going to plug in right away and impact games immediately. We re-signed Kyle Hamilton, like I talked about earlier. That's going to help. We got Marlowe and Wiggins going to do their thing. We got Roquan Smith still. Like, even Tucker's successor in Tyler Loop, he looked good. He looked really good in preseason. I'm happy. I think he can do well for us. Last time we had a rookie kicker, we did go win a Super Bowl, so maybe things are lining up. I love our organization. I love our coaching staff, but the reason why I'm high on us this year, the reason I was high on us last year, the reason I will be high on us every single year until this man retires is Lamar Jackson. He is the greatest player probably that I've ever seen. What he can do on that field, not only with his legs, but with his arm, with his eyes, with just his presence. It's intimidating the defense, and you can tell. You can tell he gets in their head. You can tell he's seen the game faster. You can tell every year he gets better. Since he was drafted, we've watched it. They said, oh, he needs a bulk up. He got bigger. Oh, he was too big, got slower. He slimmed down. Oh, his arm, he's not as accurate. Oh, he improved. Oh, he turned the ball over too much. Now he barely turns the ball over. Like, look at him. He improves in every aspect. My brother said this to me once, and it rang true to me so real. He said that, he's like, I love Lamar Jackson more than I love some family members. And hell, I think the city of Baltimore agrees with that so heavily. What he has given us and what he does for us and the impact he has added to this city, it's insane. Now, don't get me wrong. We love Ray. We love Ed. We love Flacco. But having that modern day juice of Lamar has really, I think, given us new life as a city. And I think it's going to carry into this season with all the pieces falling in line. Like I said, our schedule's going to be rough early. But if we can make it at a good record before the bye week, after the bye week, it's going to be a breeze. Hopefully we can get that number 1 seed like I predicted. Then we're going to have the playoffs going to run through Baltimore. And I'm telling you right now, last time that happened, it didn't go as planned. It won't be like that this time. If the playoffs run through Baltimore, we are taking it all. We are going to the Super Bowl this year. That is my prediction. That is, I will scream it from the rooftops. Anyone that asks, this is our year. If we don't win the Super Bowl this year, I don't know. I really do believe it's Super Bowl or bust. We're at that position. We're that good of a team. If we don't win the Super Bowl, I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I don't know what other moves we have to make. I think it's going to be a lot. If we don't win the Super Bowl this year, there's going to be a lot of questions that need immediate answers because there is no reason. I mean, yeah, you can say Patrick Mahomes, you can say Josh Allen, but truthfully, based on our roster, based on our organization, our coaching staff, and our should have been 3-time MVP, and he will right that wrong this season, winning his 3rd MVP this season. That's another prediction I am solid on. There's just no doubt in my mind that this is the year of the Raven. And there we have it. That was fun. First episode down. I hope you all enjoyed here. I hope you all stayed this whole time, listening to everything I had to say. I think it's going to be a really fun season. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe below. And hopefully tune in for the next episode. Once again, this has been the Fourth and Forever podcast. I'm your host, Josh Kirby, and thank you guys. Every single one of you. Thank you.